So, if we have a look at number 1 first. So, Hannah, you just said what are the lines for? These ones? Yeah, they're just if you do any workings out. Okay, but what you'll find is when you're doing these questions is that you probably won't do much working out, and if you do, you might just do it in the blank space, which is absolutely fine. And what you'll end up doing is you'll end up answering the question on the diagram. Okay, and as an examiner, they're trained to look for the answer in the diagram. Okay, so if there's nothing here, but there's loads of writing in here, they'll check the diagram. Okay, they have to check the diagram regardless. All right, so don't worry if you haven't put anything in the space, as long as you're putting everything on the diagram, okay? So, this question, it says the diagram shows 2 identical squares. Okay, so what am I able to do to start off, Harvey?
You're going to put one right angle, which is 90, and you can put them on all of them.
Okay, so I know that each angle inside the squares is 90, because they're all right angles, aren't they? Okay, so I've done that. Okay, so what else can I do now? What else does this diagram tell me? Hannah, what did you say? Okay, so I'm going to look at the angles in the triangle. Now, I only have one, so how am I meant to know what to put in this diagram, Finn?
Isn't like the top 360, so you just find out the right.
This top bit here, yeah, is definitely 360. So this one, this one, this one, and this one, it makes 360. But I need to know this top one before I can work out the X, the one that's missing. Harvey?
Right, the bottom one is 70. And
Why?
It's already marked, because it's both the same angle.
Why? But why? Hannah? Because it's an isosceles triangle. How do I know that it's an isosceles triangle? It's not labelled as an isosceles triangle, is it?
All the angles.
Not because the 2 angles are the same, because I don't actually know that. What about the sides? Julia? The squares next to them. These squares are identical. What does that mean?
They come down to the...
What does identical mean?
The same.
Exactly the same. So those 2 sides, because these are the sides of the square, are exactly the same, which make the 2 sides of the triangle the same, which makes it isosceles, okay? So yes, therefore, I can put that this angle down here is 70. So what would I do now?
But I thought you said
Add
that they
them
were always
together,
going
and then take it away by
But,
180.
hold on, pause.
40.
Hannah, I did say that, but this time in the description it tells us that because these are identical, the 2 sides would be the same because the squares are exactly the same. So that's something that you needed to be able to pick up on, okay? Right, Cameron, what were you going to say?
Add the 2 centres together, which is 140. Take that away from 180.
And why am I taking it away from 180?
Because all triangles add up to 180.
Because all angles in a triangle add up to 180, very good. So this angle here is 40. So what is my last step to do now?
Figure out X.
Figure out X. And what did we say that they all add up to? Finn, you said it, didn't you? 360. So I'm going to do 90, add 90, add 40, which is 220, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do 360, take my 220,
140.
which
Yes.
is 140. So that, if you hadn't have written any of that, it wouldn't matter. If you just put the 140 there and left your question like that, you would have got all 4 marks.
That's on my grade.
Okay? Right, should we have a look at the next one? Right, so the next one, it says 4 grey regular polygons. So this was the word that I said you needed to focus on. And remind me, what does that word regular mean?
They're all just regular.
All the same. What are the same?
Angles.
Angles and?
Sides.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's regular, all the sides and all the angles are the same. So these triangles here, all the sides are the same. So what does it make them? What types of triangles are these?
Isosceles.
No.
Equilateral.
Equilateral.
I said that the first time.
Why? I didn't hear you, sorry. Why have I drawn single lines on this one and double lines on these ones. Not because they're together.
Oh,
Harvey?
Because they're like joining and they're acting as other ones, the other ones.
They're what?
They're acting the same for
No. Cameron?
Because it's two symmetrical triangles that are right together.
So is it because they share their sides?
No.
we did it last time. You told me to ask you.
Yeah. How are these two triangles different?
One of them's big, one of them's
One's
small.
bigger, one's smaller. If I put single lines on all of them, that would suggest that all of those sides are exactly the same. They're not, are they? That side is not the same as that side. So I'm representing these lengths with a double line to say that they're all the same, but I'm representing these ones as all the same, but they're different to these ones. Does that make sense? Okay, so what else can you tell me about an equilateral triangle? Julia?
All the like all the angles are 60.
Amazing. All the angles are 60. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they add up to 180. So you do 60 divided by 3. 180, sorry, divided by 3 to give you 60. So they're all 60. Okay. Now, what can I put on this line here? Am I going to put a single dash or a double dash? This one. Double. Because, actually, this length is a side of our regular pentagon. This one. So that means that's the same, that would be the same, that would be the same, and that would be the same. Because all the sides are the same in it. Okay, so where am I going to go next? What am I going to do now?
Go on to the little triangle in the middle.
The little triangle in the middle, can I work anything out in there yet?
No.
Go on to that other angle then.
This one?
Yeah.
So what shape am I working with here? The pentagon. Yeah, Cameron?
360 divided by 5.
It's not three. Oh yeah, sorry. I was not saying it's not 360, but it is, isn't it? Because we do our little triangles. Yeah? We know that in the centre they add up to 360. So I'm going to do 360 divided by 5, which is 72. And then what do I do next? Who can remember what's the next step?
add times 5. or something.
Not times 5, Jamie?
Work out the interior angles by taking 72 from 180 and dividing the number by 6.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to work out the size of the interior angle. So we're going to do 180 take away the 72, which is 108. Does that tell me the size of the interior angle?
No.
Okay, why not?
Oh no. It's 9 times 108 by 5.
I don't need to times it by 5 just yet. Grace?
Divide by 2.
Yeah?
So get the two angles.
Okay, so if I divide it by 2, 108 divided by 2 is 54. So you're telling me that each of these angles is 54 now, aren't you? So if I want one of these interior angles, what do I do?
Add them both together.
54 or 54, which is?
108.
So have I worked out the interior angle there?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to do the divide by 2 and then times by 2. Because that dividing by 2 and then timesing by 2 is just cancelling each other out, isn't it? If I halve something and then double it, I'm back to where I started. So once you've done, girls, once you've done your 180, take away the 72 or whatever this is, it's going to tell you the interior angle. Okay, so that actually answers our first part, doesn't it? Okay, so the size of angle X, that was this one here, is 108. Okay, so I know that each of these angles in the pentagon are 108. I don't need to work out the total. Okay, I don't have to. All right, you could have done 108 times 5.
So which one's 40, 54 and which one's 108?
Right,
Why
so
are they different?
if I zoom in.
Because I put 108.
Okay, just wait a second. Oh.
Where did we get it?
I think I put 108 for all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they are 108. Okay,
54.
so 54, this bit here is telling me that, you know, when we split it into triangles, yeah? So one of my triangles, this is one of my triangles from my pentagon. Yeah? So the centre angle is 72. It's telling me that one of the angles, these two bottom ones, are 54 each. It's only telling me this part. You see, that bit is 54. So the whole angle there is double it, which is your 108. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so the actual interior angle is 108.
So we got to go right.
Okay? Yeah. Oh! Okay? So, right, let's have a look at the next bit. We're working out now inside this little isosceles triangle. Okay? So, how am I going to work this out now, Hannah?
You have to make sure they go with the other when you make the angle all together.
Try again. Well, are you going to work this one out here?
Yeah, but you have to connect it to the 108 and 60.
Okay, so
And the
all of
60.
these, what do they add up to altogether? They're meant to add up to 360, aren't they? So I'm going to do 108 plus 60 plus 60. Yeah, I'm going to add these three angles together, which gives me 228.
Yeah.
And then I would take it away from 360. So what's the missing angle? 132. So this angle here, I can't fit it in. The diagram's
That's
too
what I
small,
mean.
isn't it? All right, all right. So this one here is 132. Okay, so how am I going to work out the size of angle Y?
Do the exact same.
This small bit here, how would I work it out? So if you imagine, I'm going to actually draw it out. You've got your isosceles triangle. This is 132. These two sides are the same. How am I going to work out my missing angles?
Take
And 60
132
60.
from 100.
Go on, Dave.
Take 132 from 100.
Okay, which is 48.
Yeah.
Yeah? And then what?
24 divided by 2.
Why am I dividing by 2?
Because there's 2 angles.
No. Why am I dividing by 2? Yes, there are 2 angles, but why am I allowed to divide by 2? Because they're the same, good precious. Yeah, they're identical, aren't they? So you are allowed to say divide by 2. But it's not because there are 2, because the 2 could be different. It's because they're identical. So the answer to that one was 24.
What if they're not identical?
Then you would be given other facts to figure it out. Okay. Right, I like this one.
Do we have to go over that one? We already did it, didn't
Did I?
we? Yeah, you sure this, so we have to do like triangle.
Yeah, I showed you this. So
I like that because it's like split into 3 triangles.
if you imagine it, okay, and if you obviously we don't know how many sides it's got, so we can't guess. Okay. If you imagine though, what we would normally do is we would have our little triangles, wouldn't we, helping us like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you've got to do is you've got to use this fact that this angle here, the whole thing is 162. So what can I do to help me first of all?
Would you take it away from...
If I've got one of these triangles,
Divide that thing by 2.
we know at the centre they're all going to add up to 360, aren't they? So what I need to do is I need to work out this angle here. Do I know what the bottom 2 angles are?
Yes.
How?
If you divide that 162, divide it by 2,
Lovely.
and then divide...
Yes. So if I do 162 divided by 2, this gives me this angle here, which in turn gives me the other one, okay, which is 81. So these angles are both 81, okay? So now, how will I work out my angle at the centre? Go on, keep going.
Add 181 together, both of them.
So we've got
Take it away.
162, haven't we? 180, take away 162, which is 18. So our centre angle is 18, and that's what's key here. So what do we know about all the angles at the centre of the shape? What should they all add up to? Always
360.
360. So no matter how many there are here, okay, I know, so I'm going to have 18s all the way round until they add up to 360. So what calculation could I do to work out how many there are at the centre? Cameron?
360 divided by 18.
Lovely. 360 divided by 18, and I think it gave you the answer 20.
Yeah.
So not 20 degrees, sorry.
5 boys, 24.
Okay, so 20. So there would be 20 sides to that shape.
Yeah.
This question is really common, but it's not difficult once you know that this part here links to your triangle that you've made. So you're actually just reversing the process. Okay, it's no different to what we've done, except we're just going backwards. Okay, right, so the last one then. So Bernie has 2 tiles, da 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 da. Are we interested in what it says? Probably not. Okay, but what have I got? What can I see straight away? 2 shapes.
Polygon and
They're both polygons. Okay, but how many sides has each shape got? So this one's got 10, this one's got 6. Okay, it does tell me that in the question, doesn't it? So we've got hexagon and 10-sided shape. Right, so what am I going to start off by doing?
Doing that dot in the middle and then doing
Amazing. Dot in the middle. Let's draw our little triangles out. Yeah? So, I'm going to go with my decagon first. Okay, so I would do 360 divided by 10. Yeah? Because I've made 10 triangles, it's got 10 sides, which is 36. So my interior angle is 180 take away 36, which is 144. So I know that this angle here, and I'm going to specifically put it over here because I know it's going to help, is 144. I don't need to work out anything else, do I, on that one? No? You could have worked out that the total is 1,440. Yes, it is raining ice this way. Okay, but it's not going to help us get to the answer. Right, what about the hexagon then? So I'm going to do the same thing. I put my dot in the middle. Okay, so this time I'm going to do 360 divided by 6, which is... Anybody?
60.
Very good. Okay. I do my 180 take away 60, which is 120. So I know that each angle in here is 120. So what am I going to do now to work out my missing angle?
You divide it by 2.
I'm not going to divide it by 2 this time.
Divide by 6.
Look what I've got so far.
Wait,
Look what I've got.
Wait, never mind.
I've got 144 as this angle. I've got 120 as this angle. How am I going to work out this missing one here? Grace? Amazing. Add them together. Take them away from 360. So I've got 144 plus 120, which is 264. 360, take away the 264, is 96. So let's actually have a look at what the question says now. So he decides to fit them together, so they fit together here. By calculation that the angle X will be greater than 96. Have I done 90? Have I done that? Yes, because my angle is greater than 90. So all it wants you to do is prove that this angle here is greater than 90. I've shown that it's greater than 90 by doing my calculations. If you'd got something like 80, that would obviously be a telltale sign that you need to go back and look at where you've gone wrong. Yeah? Harvey, what were you going to ask?
You have to put all them workings out, or if you just set the answer, you have to just do one.
If you just put, you'd obviously have to do some kind of working out, yeah? But if you knew that it was 144 and 120, then fine. But I would suggest that you do all the calculations all the time. Okay? Right. Are you ready to have a go at some more now?
Yeah.